A ton of new updates, Rec Room's biggest event yet, and some new Rec Room lore. Hello everybody, I'm BillehBawb from BVR, and welcome back to Rec Room Roundup, where we go over the latest in Rec Room news. Usually I start off with updates, but this event is pretty big and I feel like I gotta talk about it first, so let's get into the League of Heroes. The League of Heroes is an event that started quite a while ago by now, where every player in Rec Room was randomly assigned to one of 4 teams. These teams are the Masterminds, the Amazings, the Defenders, and the Valor, or Team Valor, I guess. Each player in Rec Room was given a cape that matches their team, and we were told that a bunch of cool events and stuff were gonna happen with the League of Heroes. And so far, it's been about a month, and not too much has happened. I mean, don't get me wrong, for the past month, they've been pushing League of Heroes stuff quite a bit. Like, a lot of the new cosmetics that are coming out are themed after superheroes, and they've done a bunch of live streams about it, and some giveaways tied to it. They changed the rec center to match the League of Heroes, and you can tell they've been encouraging the community a lot to make, you know, community-made League of Heroes themed maps and whatever. But as far as actual in-game events go, there's been pretty much nothing, and you can kind of tell they just expected people to roleplay about it and care about it anyways for some reason. Personally, when they announced this, I was expecting some game-wide events where the teams would, like, compete against each other. Like, what if there was a week where they heavily promoted playing paintball, and then every kill you got in paintball would give a point to your team? So then every player in the game would be, like, racking up points for their team throughout the week, and then by the end of the week, whichever team had the most points would get a special cosmetic or something. I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of missed potential with the League of Heroes, because so far, it just seems like it's mostly community members pretending to care, even though there's no real reason to actually care. However, all of that being said, I might have to take it all back, because as the League of Heroes comes to a close, it seems like we're getting an event kind of like what I described earlier. This event involves decoding ciphers, Rec Room lore, and bringing all of the leagues together, so let's talk about it. So the main antagonist of this whole League of Heroes event so far seems to be the Forbidden One. If you don't know who the Forbidden One is, I made a video about it a while ago, but basically he's this evil character that started as a Rec Room glitch, but then they kind of started to incorporate him into the actual Rec Room lore, and they added these like hidden texts around the rec center you could decode to learn more about him. Overall, not too much is still known about the Forbidden One. We just know he's some kind of evil entity in the Rec Room lore that wears a purple bucket on his head. But throughout this event, we have got more information on the Forbidden One, starting with a video uploaded to the Rec Room YouTube channel called Utini's Building Tips. And sadly, in this video, Utini did not give us very many building tips because it was hijacked by the Forbidden One. Basically, he came on and said a bunch of evil stuff, and then the video ended. Very exciting. This would be expanded on later in one of the Rec Room live streams where a bunch of staff members were talking, and then the mysterious voice of the Forbidden One was heard, and then Utini vanished. And then we'd find out where Utini went in a very recent upload to the Rec Room YouTube channel with a special message from the Forbidden One. In this video, we see that the Forbidden One has Utini captured, and he claims to have left a bunch of new secret messages around the rec center. So of course, people immediately went to go search the rec center to find these codes. There were 4 codes in total, and there was 1 for each League of Heroes, and each code was in a different section of the rec center because it's split off into the 4 different sections right now, and each code in its section was only visible to people who were part of that team. So like the Amazings code was only visible to people who were part of the Amazings. Using some of the words that Utini said in the YouTube video, you could decipher these codes to say this. They're up on screen right now if you want to read them. As usual with these codes, it's a bunch of vague allusions about Rec Room lore that basically make no sense. You'll notice though that in these codes, there's a bunch of out-of-place capital letters, and if you take all of these letters and put them together, you can make the word in between. And this is a code that lets you decipher the 5th and final code in the rec center, which led people to a room which is called, you'll never guess, the Forbidden Cave. In this room, we can see the League of Heroes hideout all destroyed with Utini in a cage and a countdown timer right below him. I know that was a lot of explanation, but this is the big event for the League of Heroes. This countdown ends on April 1st, and I'm gonna take a solid guess that when the countdown ends, everyone who's in the room will be able to do a Forbidden One boss fight. Maybe in the boss fight, all of the different leagues will have like different powers they can use to take down different parts of the Forbidden One. Who knows? Outside of RecCon, this is going to be pretty much the first sort of massive live event that happens in Rec Room, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out. Or I guess the timer ends on April 1st, so maybe it's just like a big April Fool's prank. Who knows? Either way, though, I'll make sure to keep you all updated in the next episode of Rec Room Roundup, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see that and a bunch of other Rec Room news. Alright, that's it about the League of Heroes and the Forbidden One. Let's talk about some recent updates. First up, a whole bunch of new pages in the UI have been converted into the new 2D UI style. This includes the Events tab, the Settings tab, and probably the biggest change, the Profile page. Currently, the new Profile page is only out to about 20% of players, so they can test it out and make sure it doesn't have any major issues before giving it to everybody. But here's what it looks like. Your avatar now shows up on your profile, so people will be able to see what you look like. Profile pictures have been made way less prominent and are now moved down along with the bio. Behind your avatar, there's a big banner area, which is currently just defaulting to showing whatever League of Heroes team you're on. But in the future, you'll likely be able to change this to any picture or your RecNet banner. You can also now set identity flags in your pronouns here, so you don't need to put it in your bio. And down here at the bottom, you can see some information about people, like their recently visited rooms, but I'm pretty sure this is only visible to friends, and there's an option to turn it off if you don't want people to see. Overall, I really like this new profile menu. The old one really sucked and was really cluttered. Obviously, it has a couple small problems, like maybe too much scrolling and a lot of dead space under the bio, but that can all be fixed. The far more controversial UI change has been for the Maker Pen UI. Everything is 2D UI now, so there's no more 3D buttons like there used to be. There's no handlebars on the side of the palette anymore, and you have to kind of drag them around with your pointers. And overall, there's just quite a few weird design decisions that slow down people's building. I cannot even begin to tell you how much complaining there was about this new UI. There was like builders left and right threatening to quit the game and stuff. Like, guys, come on. It's not that bad. I think that quite a few of the people complaining were just complaining because they were used to the old one and they didn't want to get used to something new, even though the something new actually has a lot of good aspects to it as well. The new Inventions tab is way cleaner and easier to find things in. The new contextual settings part of the menu is way easier to use than the old settings, which were super cluttered. Being able to tear off multiple pages at once is really neat, and being able to have the logging tab open while you're not holding your Maker Pen is also pretty useful. Yeah, there's some not so great parts as well, but trust me, being over dramatic will not fix anything. They're working to change them. They're working to make it better. I promise you. I know I'm a bit late on this, but everyone just calm down, okay? This new tubes update finally came out that lets you select and edit and align and rotate tubes way easier. You can grab and move in multi-select nodes in ways that you couldn't before, and this makes tube way easier to work with than it was before. You can now recolor button materials as well as with their actual color, and that's about it. Quite a few controversial changes there with the UI, but otherwise it's just been quality of life and general building improvements and such, which is good. There was also a new AMA recently, but drumroll please, there weren't very many interesting things they talked about. Wow, that never happens. They talked about maybe updates coming in the future to let you have watch skins and buggy skins for vehicles. And they talked about in the future maybe being able to have more customizable dorms beyond just dorm skins and stuff. And that's literally it. Moving on. For events besides the League of Heroes, we have the upcoming Rec Room Arts Festival. This is a new event happening next week where Rec Room community members can show off their art stuff, like music or just building or whatever. For going to the Arts Festival, you'll get this shirt for free, and people who helped out with the Arts Festival, whereas it be building or participating, I think, they got this special exclusive gray version of the shirt. There will be a link in the description with more information if you want to check it out. I think it's just going to be kind of like RecCon, except way smaller. There was also a pretty big leaderboards issue recently where they had to reset all of the leaderboards in the game back to like mid-January because they had an outage and they lost the data for the leaderboards, and then the backups like wouldn't work. So for every Rec Room original game and every custom room that uses leaderboards, all of the leaderboards got reset by like a month. So that's a pretty big oopsie. Here's this week's weekly rotation of items. As I said, it's mostly superhero themed stuff. And I think that's going to be about it for this episode. Make sure to subscribe and use code BVRR in the Rec Room item shop, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.